Friends, so yesterday we discussed about the processor modes and the access levels. Okay. Uh, so today we shall discuss about control register. Okay. So once we know about the processor modes and access levels, then only we will understand the control register. What is the use of control register? Okay. So now we shall discuss about control register. Yeah. So control register. So it is used to define privilege level and SP selection. Okay, so it has two operations. One is it will select privilege level. Okay, so we know already which are the privilege levels available in ARM Cortex M3. So the two privilege levels available in ARM Cortex M3 is privileged level. This is the first privilege level. Second one is user level. These are the two privilege levels available in Cortex M3. In order to select these privilege levels, so how it can be selected using the control register. The control register helps to select the privilege levels of the modes. So yesterday I told, so there are two modes. So one is handler mode. Okay, one is handler mode, and one more is thread mode. Right? And I told handler mode will always be privileged level access. Okay. But thread mode, it can either be in user level access or it can be in privilege level access. So these access levels are selected using the control register. So along with that, control register also has one more operation, which is SP selection. SP means stack pointer selection. Because there are two stack pointers in Cortex M3. One is MSP, main stack pointer. One more is PSP. So which stack pointer will you choose to operate? Okay, will you select to operate? That depends on control register again. So you can use the control register for selecting MSP and PSP also. Right? So this register has 2 bits. See again, similar to yesterday's examples. So again, it is a 32-bit register only, but out of that, only 2 bits are used. That's all. Okay, that is what we mean by 2 bits. It is a 32-bit register, but only 2 bits are useful. Which are those 2 bits? First one is control of 0 and control of 1. So there are 2 bits are, so out of 32 bits, so let's say this is a 32-bit register like this. Okay. So it will go on like this. So it starts from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 31. So this is the control register. Okay. So then only 2 bits are useful in this control register. Okay. So that is bit 0 and bit 1. So now we shall see what is the use of bit 0 and bit 1 using this table. So control bit 0. First we will discuss this. Control 0. Control 0 means control bit 0. So the 0th bit of the control register. So what is it used for? So it is used for selecting the privilege levels. Okay, it is used to select the privilege levels in thread mode. Okay, so why it is only in thread mode? Because, so as I told, as we discussed already, in handler mode, it is always in privilege level only. So there is no user level in handler mode. Okay, so hence you need not select privilege levels in handler mode. No need, because if it is in handler mode, it is always in privileged level only. Whenever it is in thread mode, so it can either be in user level access or privileged level access. So then only you require the selection of the access level. So that is why, so this control bit 0, control bit 0, that is control register bit 0, is used to select the privilege levels in thread mode. So first privilege level. So if this control bit is 0, so if this control bit is 0, okay, so what do you mean by that is, so then the thread in thread mode, so whatever the program that is running in the thread mode, it is having privileged level access. Privileged level access. Okay, so if it is 0, okay, so if this bit is 1, so if this bit is 1, let's say instead of 0, it is 1. Okay, if it is 1, then it means, so in thread mode, so whichever program is running in thread mode, okay, it is having user level access. Okay, so this is the use of bit 0 of control register. Okay, so if it is 0, privilege level access in thread mode. If it is 1, it is user level access in thread mode. Okay, and you can see here in a single line it is given, if in handler mode, okay, the processor operates in privilege mode only. So always. So you need not select the privilege level in handler mode because it is always in privileged level only. Okay. So now coming to the bit 1 of control register. Bit 1 of control register. So what this will do? So this is used to select the stack. Okay, whether it is main stack pointer or process stack. So if this bit is 1, okay, then alternate stack is used. So alternate stack means PSP, process stack pointer. Okay, so process stack is used. So if it is 0, if this bit control bit 1, if it is 0, then default stack pointer MSP is used. Okay, so what do you mean by that? So this bit, okay, if this bit is this bit is 0, so what do you mean by that? If it is 0, default stack pointer, that is MSP. So if it is 0, okay, 0, MSP is used. Okay, and if this bit is 1, PSP is used. That's it. Okay, and there is a note given here. So if it is in thread or base level, thread mode, so the alternate stack is the PSP. Okay, so alternate stack means PSP. That is what I told. There is no alternate stack for handler mode. So it is, so this bit must be 0 when the processor is in handler mode. See what he says is, so whenever the processor is in handler mode, okay, so it always uses main stack pointer. Okay, it always uses main stack pointer. So and in handler mode, it is always in privileged level access. Privileged level access. So in handler mode, since it uses MSP, so always whenever the processor is in handler mode, this bit, okay, bit 1, it will be 0. So this bit will be 0 in handler mode because it has to use main stack. Okay. So whenever it is in thread mode, whenever the processor is in thread mode, so either it can use MSP or PSP, okay, based on this bit 1 of the control register, bit 1, okay, based on bit 1 of the control register. So if it is 0, it will use MSP in thread mode. If it is 1, it will use PSP in thread mode. Okay, don't get confused. So remember the operation properly. Okay. So in Cortex M3, the control bit 1, the control register bit 1 is always 0 in handler mode. So why it is always 0 in handler mode? Why? Because as I told, in handler mode, the processor will use main stack pointer only. Okay, main stack pointer only. That is why control bit 1 will be 0 in handler mode. So, however, in thread mode, okay, it can be either 0 or 1. So in thread mode, as I told, okay, in thread mode, so it can be using MSP or it can be using PSP. So that is the bit 1, control bit 1 can be 0 or 1. Okay, that is what it means. Right? So this bit is writable. Okay, so which bit? Bit 1, control bit 1. Okay, so he's talking about control bit 1. So this bit is writable only when the core or the program is in thread mode and in privileged level. Okay, so remember, control bit 1 is writable only whenever the processor is in privileged level only. Whenever it is in privileged level only, you can write to control bit 1. So whenever it is in user level, you cannot write to control bit 1. Okay. So in handler mode, writing to this bit is not allowed. Okay, in handler mode, writing to this bit is not allowed. Aside from writing to this register, another way to change this bit is to change bit 2 of the link register. Okay, so we shall come to this later. Okay, so for timing, remember, so control bit 1, okay, the bit 1 of the control register is writable only in thread mode and in privilege level access. Okay, so then only you can write it. But in handler mode, you cannot change this bit. Okay, in handler mode, you cannot change control bit 1. Okay, why? Because in handler mode, control bit is always 0. Control bit 1 is always 0 because it has to use the main stack pointer. Okay, that is why in handler mode, you need not or you cannot write to control bit 1. Next, so control register bit 0. So what is the use of this control bit register 0? So as we saw, it will select the privilege level, and this bit is writable only whenever the processor is in privilege level access. So either it can be in thread mode or in handler mode. So any mode, so it is writable only in privilege level. Yes, so we'll continue. Fine. So what are the conclusions from this? So I'll just brief here. So control register bit 1. Okay. So what is the use of control register bit 1? Can anyone tell me? Shall conclude this in a proper way so that there is no confusion. What is the use of control bit 1? Control register bit 1. Yes. See, it is used to select stack pointer. Okay, it is used to select stack pointer. Okay. So if this bit is 0, what do you mean by that? If this bit is 0, what is the meaning? So you are using or the program is using main stack pointer. Okay, and if this bit is 1, if this bit is 1, so then the program is using PSP, process stack pointer. Okay, and one more thing, so this bit control bit 1, okay, that is control register bit 1 will be always 0. It will be always 0 whenever the processor is in handler mode. Okay, whenever the processor is in handler mode, this bit control register bit 0 is 0. Control register bit 1 is it will be 0 because in handler mode it has to use the main stack pointer. Okay, and this bit is writable. Control register bit 1 is writable only in thread mode. Okay, and that too it should be in privileged access level. So then only this bit is writable. Okay, so this is the conclusion regarding control bit 1. Okay, control register bit 1. So next, coming to control register bit 0. So what is the use of this? It is used to select privilege levels. Okay, it is used to select privilege levels. Okay, so if this bit is 0, that means it is privileged level access. Privileged level access is given to the program which is running. Okay, and if this bit is 1, then the program which is running is given user level access. Okay, and one more thing you have to remember. So in handler mode, you cannot select control register bit 0. Why? Because handler mode will always be privileged. Will be privileged access only. It will be always in privileged access only. Okay, and one more thing is conclusion. So this bit is writable, that is control register bit 0 is writable whenever the program is having privileged access level. Okay, whenever the program is having privileged access level. So that means it can be either in thread mode or in handler mode. So in both the modes, so if it is having privileged level, so then you can write to control register bit 0. So that is the conclusion. So remember this. Okay. Fine. So just like any other special register, you can access control register also using the two special instructions MRS and MSR. So one is read from the control register. So whatever the contents of control register will be transferred to R0 here in this case. And next is the MSR, it is write to control register. So the contents of R0 will be written into control register. Okay, so this can be done using the special instructions MRS and MS. Okay, so this is about the special register, which is control register. So remember this. See, these can be asked for 4 marks, 5 marks. Explain the operation of control register. Okay, so explain the operation modes and the privilege levels supported by Cortex M3. So it can be asked for 6 marks, 8 marks, like that. So depending on marks, you have to write the content. Okay, so now you will understand this. Okay, so what will happen in privileged access level? Okay, in privileged access level, if in privileged access level, so thread mode. Okay, so what will happen? So since it is in thread mode and privileged access level, so then control register bit 0 is 0, because control register bit 0, it controls the privilege access. Okay, so if this control register bit 0 is equal to 0, then it is giving you the privileged access. Okay, so either in thread mode or handler mode. But in handler mode, you cannot change this at all, because handler mode is always privileged. Okay. Next is, you can see in thread mode, if control register bit 0 is 1, control register bit 0 is 1, that means in thread mode it is given user level access. Okay, it is given user level access. So in thread mode it can be privileged, or in thread mode it can be in user level. Okay, so how you control that? Using the control register bit 0. Control register bit 0. Okay, so coming to handler mode. So in handler mode, so you cannot change control register bit 0. You cannot change it at all. Why? Because it is always privileged access only. So hence control register bit 0 is always 0 in handler mode. In handler mode, it is always 0. Okay. So what you can change here? So in handler mode, you can see here. One more thing is control register bit 1 is also 0, because it is using the MSP. Okay. So remember, control register bit 1 is used to select PSP or MSP. So in handler mode, it is always using MSP. So hence control register bit 1 is 0. So it is using MSP only. Okay. So one more thing is given here. See, control register bit 1 can be either 0 or 1 in thread mode. Okay, in thread mode, control register bit 1 can either be 0 or 1. What do you mean by that? Because in thread mode, either you can use MSP, which is 0, or you can use PSP, which is 1. So in thread mode, you can use MSP or PSP, depending on the access level. Okay. Okay, so this is regarding the control register. So I'll brief once again, because it is very important for coming topics and the operation of the Cortex M3. So if the processor is in handler mode, okay, so it is always privileged. Okay, it is always privileged access level. Okay, and in handler mode, it has to use only MSP. Okay, it has to use only MSP. So hence control register bit 1 will be 0. Why? Because it has to use MSP, and it is in privilege level always. Okay, so in privilege level, you need not change control register bit 0. You need not change it. Okay, why? Because there is no concept of user level at all. Because in privilege level, sorry, in handler mode, it is always in privilege level. So there is no concept of control register bit 0 in privilege level and handler mode. In handler mode. Okay, so this is the confusion. Next, in thread mode, so the processor or the program can be in two privilege levels. So one is privileged level. Okay, so whenever it is in privilege level, in thread mode, in privilege level, so that means it will use main stack pointer. Okay, it will use main stack pointer. So how will you control that? Using the control register bit 0. So if this control register bit 0 equal to 0. So in thread mode, and whenever it is in privileged level, so it will use MSP. So one thing you have to remember here, whenever it is privileged level access, always main stack pointer is used. Okay, so next, so in thread mode, it can be in user level access. Okay, it can be in user level access. So in user level, it will use PSP, process stack pointer. So how will you select process stack pointer? Again, using the control register bit 0. So here you have to have a 1. Okay. Any doubts here? So this is what the thread mode will give you. Fine. So this will be control register bit 1. Sorry, because that is what which will select the stacks. Okay. So control register bit 1 will select the stacks. So it is control bit 1, and this is also control bit 1. So to select main stack pointer and process stack pointer. Okay. So next is in privilege level. Okay, in privilege level, so it is using main stack pointer whenever it is in thread mode. Okay, whenever it is in thread mode. So to enter privilege level in thread mode, okay, so how will it enter the privilege level in thread mode? The control register bit 0 should be 0. Okay, control register bit 0 should be 0. Then only in thread mode it can enter privilege level access. Okay, and in thread mode, if it enters user level access, so that can only be done using control register bit 0, and this value should be 1. Okay, this value should be 1. So then only it is in thread mode and user level access. Okay, so always remember control register bit 0 is used to select the access levels. Okay, and control register bit 1 is used to select the main stack or the process stack. So next we'll continue. So next is exceptions and interrupts. Okay, so I told totally it will support 256 exceptions and interrupts. Okay, so Cortex M3 supports a number of exceptions, including a fixed number of system exceptions, okay, and a number of interrupts. See why it is taken as exceptions and interrupts, because the exceptions are considered to be internal. So they are considered to be internal to the processor. So they come within the processor. So whatever the interrupts, those are generated within the processor. So such type of interrupts are known as exceptions. Okay, and the interrupts which are coming from outside the processor, from outside the system, that are just considered as interrupts. Okay, so this is the classification: exceptions and interrupts. Exceptions means internal interrupts, and the interrupts means they are external interrupts. Okay, so they are commonly known as IRQs, interrupt requests. Okay, so the number of interrupt inputs to Cortex M3 controller depends on the individual design. Okay, it depends on individual design. but 256 is the maximum number of interrupts it supports. So out of 256, so based on your application, you can use 10, you can use 5, you can use 15, you can use 200, depending on your application. Okay, but maximum is 256. Interrupts generated by peripherals except system tick timer are also connected to interrupt input signals. Okay, so that is what. So the interrupts that are generated internally. Okay, so those are also treated as interrupts only, but they are called as exceptions. That's all. So exceptions means internal interrupts, and interrupts means they are external interrupts. So besides interrupts, there is also a non-maskable interrupt, which is known as NMI input signal. Okay, so we discussed this yesterday while discussing the interrupt mask registers. Okay, wherein so NMI is non-maskable, that is at any point of time it cannot be masked, it cannot be disabled, it will be always enabled. So that is why the name non-maskable. So the actual use of NMI, so what is the use of these non-maskable interrupt depends again on the design of the controller or the system on chip. Okay, in most cases, so in usual cases, NMI will be connected to a watchdog timer or a voltage monitoring block that warns the processor when the voltage drops below a certain level. Okay, so the NMI exception can be activated anytime, even after the core reset. Okay, so remember, NMI can be connected to various input signals based on the design. So usually he says it is connected to a watchdog timer or a voltage monitoring block. So why it is connected to these two? We shall see that later. We shall see what is a watchdog timer or a voltage monitoring block. Okay, so we shall see that later. Okay, so I'll come back to this later. But the timing, remember, NMI is non-maskable, and to which input it is connected depends on the application. Yes, so number of system exceptions and fault handling exceptions can be triggered whereas using various error conditions. Okay, so the exception types in Cortex M3 are as follows. You can see here. So this is exception number. So exception number is 1. So which is that exception? It is reset. Okay, so reset, and it is the highest priority. So you can see what is the priority value? -3. So yesterday I told lower is the value of the priority, highest is the priority given to that. So lower the value, higher is the priority. So -3 is it's a lower value, but it is having highest priority, -3. So exception number 1 is reset, priority is -3, function is reset the process. Exception number 2 is non-maskable interrupt, NMI, and its priority is -2. So it is the second highest, it is having the second highest priority in the ARM Cortex M3. It is non-maskable interrupt. Okay, it is non-maskable interrupt. Next, third is exception number 3 is hard fault. Okay, so its priority is -1. Its priority is -1. Okay, so all classes of fault, when the corresponding fault handler cannot be activated because it is currently disabled or masked by the exception mask. So when a hard fault will take place, so this is the explanation. I'll give the example for that. Okay. Now, so I'll take the yesterday's example itself. So this is my ARM microprocessor. This is ARM microprocessor. So it has 2 interrupts. Yesterday we had taken an example of 2 interrupts. One was key press. Okay. And one more was temperature sensor, a change in temperature. Correct. So since there are 2 interrupts, there will be 2 ISRs for 2 interrupts. So ISR 1 and ISR 2. Okay. So what will be ISRs having? Interrupt service routines. So it will be having the code, okay, that needs to be executed whenever that particular interrupt has taken place. So in case of key press, so yesterday we had taken, so it is whenever key pressed, the switch should be turned on. LED should be turned on. That was the application. Okay, so LED turn on. That was the application. Whenever it is key press, right? This is ISR1. Similarly, ISR2, whenever it is temperature increase, okay, so fan should be turned on. Fan turn on. This was the application we had taken example yesterday, right? So now in example, so yesterday I also told, whenever the key press interrupt comes, that is interrupt 1 comes, okay, so you can take this as IRQ1. Okay, so interrupts are considered as IRQs. This is IRQ1 and IRQ2. So whenever IRQ1 comes, so the processor comes to know that IRQ1 has come, so hence it starts executing ISR1. So before starting executing ISR1, what it will do is, as I told, whenever it is executing an interrupt service routine, let's say it does not want to be disturbed by any other inputs, okay, any other disturbances. So then what it will do is, it will mask other interrupts. It will mask other interrupts. Okay, it will mask other interrupts using the interrupt mask registers, so that whenever it is executing the service routine for interrupt 1, it will not be disturbed further. Okay, so as soon as it masks the other interrupts, that means IRQ2 is masked or it is disabled. Okay, it is disabled now. Okay, so it is disabled and the processor is executing ISR1, which is turning on the LED. It is in the process of doing that. So whenever it is in the process of doing that, so let's say there is a temperature change. Okay, there is a temperature change and it will be sensed and it will be intimated to the processor using IRQ2. It is intimated to the processor. But the problem is this IRQ2 is disabled. Okay, and hence it can't be serviced. It can't be serviced because it is disabled. So it can't be serviced means ISR2 will not be executed because it is disabled currently. So in such case, okay, whenever an interrupt comes and that interrupt is disabled or masked, hard fault exception will take place. Hard fault exception, which is exception number 3. Okay, it will take place. Okay, say indicating the processor that okay, some interrupt has come. Okay, some interrupt has come. It will not tell you which interrupt has come, but some interrupt has come, and you have masked or disabled that interrupt. Okay, so that is what is the information it will give whenever hard fault takes place. Okay, that is what is the use of hard fault. Select that. Next exception is exception number 4, which is memory management fault. Okay, and the priority of this is user settable. Okay, so you can see that. So till exception number 3, 1, 2, 3, the priorities are fixed. You cannot change these. But from exception number 4, the priority can be adjusted based on the application. Based on the application, the user can adjust the priorities. The memory management priority can be adjusted. So when this fault will come. So this is caused whenever MPU violation or invalid access takes place. The MPU stands for memory protection unit. So let's say you have using this memory protection unit, you have denied access to a particular location. Let's say that location is 0x0010. So this memory location, the access is denied. Okay, because you have denied the access to this particular location using the MPU. Right? But some program wants to access this. It will come and try to read this memory location. So in that case, memory management fault takes place. So indicating the processor that so some memory location which should not be accessed is being tried to access. It is trying. So some program is trying to access that location which is protected. Okay, so based on that, so the processor will take care of some decision, which will terminate that program because it is trying to illegally access a location which should not be accessed. So next is exception number 5, bus fault. Okay, so again the priority is settable. So when this will take place, error response received from the bus system. So some error response is received from the bus system because see, as I told you, it is Harvard architecture. There are separate buses here for data and instructions. Okay, so some error response received from such buses Okay, results in bus fault. So next, exception number 6 is usage fault. Usage fault. So again, the priority is manageable, so it is settable. Okay. So typical causes of usage fault is, so whenever invalid instructions or invalid state transition attempt has been made. Okay, so in such case, usage fault will take place. Okay, that is here. Whenever you are trying to switch from thumb mode to ARM mode in Cortex M3. Okay, whenever you are trying to switch from thumb mode to ARM mode in Cortex M3, this usage fault will take place. Why? Because there is no ARM mode. Okay, there is no ARM mode in Cortex M3. There is only thumb mode. Okay. Next, exception number 7 to 10, they are reserved. Okay, they can be used for other applications. The next exception number 11 is SVC, so supervisory call. Okay, so again the priority is settable. Then 12, exception number 12 is debug monitor. Okay, so 13 is reserved again. 14 is pend SV, so pendable request for system service. The next exception number 15 is SysTick. Okay, system tick timer. So there is a timer on system tick timer. We shall see what is used later. So if it gives any interrupt, then that is exception number 15. Okay, it is exception number 15. So next is interrupt 16 to, so interrupt exceptions 16 to 255. So these are taken as IRQs, that is interrupt request. See, up to exception number 15. Okay, so up to here, exception number 15, they are all internal interrupts. Okay, so these are all generated by internal, that is generated within the processor. If these are generated within the processor, okay, if these are generated within the processor, then they are known as exceptions, and up to exception number 15, they are all generated internally. Okay, so next, from exception number 16 to 255, they are external interrupts. So these are all external interrupts. They are generated outside the processor, from outside the processor, not within, but from outside the processor, external interrupt. Okay, and here the numbers here from 0 to 239. So it is totally 240 here, and remaining 16 are here. So totally 256. Yeah. So exception number 16. Exception number 16 is IRQ number 0. It is the first interrupt. IRQ 0. Exception number 16 means it is the first interrupt. So like that, 17 means IRQ 1, 18 means IRQ 2, 19 means IRQ 3, like that. If you continue to 255, exception number 255 means it is IRQ 239. Totally 240 external interrupts are there and 16 internal interrupts are there, which are exceptions. Okay. This is regarding exceptions and interrupts.